So it's been around 6 months since I started concealed carrying every day. Oh, hold on. The cat is saying hello. Hold on. Do you have a comment? Don't attack me. Oh, why don't you love me? Why won't you love me? Do you have a comment? So it's been about 6 months since I started concealed carrying, and I figured why not do a video to update you guys on how it's going and answer some of the most commonly asked questions that I get now that I carry a gun with me every day. Okay, so let's get into it. So here's the first question. Doesn't carrying a gun imply you're living in fear? And to that I would say no. It implies I'm living in reality, because that's the reality. There's evil in the world and it's not going anywhere. So I choose to be prepared in the event I encounter said evil. You know, it always baffles me when people ask these questions as if they don't watch the news, they don't see all the atrocities that happen all across the country. And I don't know if maybe it's they don't think it could ever happen to them. Well, that's not being prepared. You don't have to get a gun if you don't want a gun. But to assume that you're just living out of fear, I mean, do we apply that logic to someone who's walking around with pepper spray? So why is that acceptable, but a firearm isn't? It's a little bizarre. But all right, let's get to the next question. I got a lot more I want to get into. So, and I think this next question ties into the first of, oh, you just live in fear. It's that, oh, why don't you just call the cops? Oh, my sweet friend. The average 911 response time is 10 minutes. There were some places in the United States during COVID where the average response time was 3 hours. By the time the cops arrive, the crime is already done. The bad guy is gone and you're dead. Do you have 10 minutes to wait for someone to come and save you? Not only that, there was a Supreme Court ruling. I believe there's actually a few rulings that basically said that the police do not owe a specific duty to protect individual citizens, only the public at large. So the case I'm talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, I believe it was Warren versus District Columbia, where it was 3 women who were being attacked in their home. They called the police, and because the police did not act in time, or they did not act accordingly, I forgot what the specifics were relating to that exactly, but pretty much they ruled that, oh yeah, it's not, the cop's job isn't to protect you individually. It's to the broader society. So there you go. You have the highest court in the land telling you that that's not their job. So whose job is it? You. You are your own first responder. And that's what I am for myself. So that's why I don't just call the cops. Yes, the cops are important. They are important. Yes. Okay. But also, they cannot be everywhere all at once. All right. So next question. Was I anxious when I started carrying, and how did I overcome it? So yeah, I was very anxious because it's a foreign object. Like you know your body, and you know that you're not supposed to be carrying this brick on you. So for good reason, yeah, I was a little bit anxious, and I think that's common with a lot of new concealed carry holders. And so the way that I overcame it was understanding that I didn't need to go from 0 to 100. Meaning that baby steps are completely acceptable. People might clown you for it, but it is completely acceptable because confidence is a big part of the puzzle. Okay, so assuming you've already done your training, and maybe I'll touch a little bit more on that in this video, but assuming you've done that, you got your permit if you live in a communist state like I do, shout out Rhode Island. But assuming you got your permit and you're ready to conceal carry, you can still do baby steps. So what I did is for the first, I want to say month and a half, maybe even 2 months, I started carrying the gun completely unloaded. Like there was no ammo at all. I would leave the house with a brick, literally a brick. And that was so I could get used to the feeling of carrying this new object on my body. And then after that, I started carrying a loaded magazine, but not inside the gun. Just a loaded magazine so I can get used to the extra weight as well as the weight of the firearm. And then eventually I said, okay, now I'm going to insert the magazine loaded, but I'm not going to put one in the chamber. And then I did that for a little bit, got used to that feeling, and then eventually I did one in the chamber. So it is completely fine. I think that it's totally acceptable. Because here's the thing too. I don't believe in pushing someone to advance in their journey of becoming a gun owner if they're not comfortable. Because I think that's more of a liability, is if you don't feel confident with what you're carrying, I think that that's worse than you just not having a gun to begin with. So take your time. It's totally fine. All right. What are the different ways to carry and why did you choose your current setup? Okay. So luckily for me, I did a lot of research on this before I went out and started spending hundreds of dollars on various things, because I've come to the realization that that is a common mistake that new gun owners make, is they just buy all the things and end up not liking half of them. So I got the basics. I got a holster, and I'll show it to you in a second. I got a Gothix holster. It's basically a hard shell holster, which is the basics, right? And then I also got a belt holster. And then I have an off-body carry bag. And I'm going to walk you through my logic as to why I got these things. But aside from that, there are so many other options. You have this thing called a belly band. It's almost like a corset you wear underneath your shirt, and then you can tuck a gun inside. You have a bra holster, evidently, I've seen. There are ankle holsters. There's so many options, but my recommendation, again, going back to feeling confident, is to do what is comfortable for you, where you can carry a firearm as safely as possible and draw your firearm as safely as possible. Okay? Pay no mind to all the other people out there that will criticize your particular way of carrying. They have different body types. They have different experiences, okay, different lifestyles. So just do what you find is comfortable. And there's also nothing wrong with asking for advice. But I'm going to show you what I have and what I've been carrying. So first thing I'll show you is my belt. Okay, so let me back up a little bit. I don't know if you can. Okay, so this is, I know it's hard to see, but actually let me take this out. Hold on. So this is a holster belt. This is from Sig Sauer. And if you're going to carry a gun on your body, you're going to need a holster belt, unless you want to carry like pocket carry, which is a totally different conversation. Basically, it's a super, super small gun that you can put in your pocket, and I don't know, those things skeeve me out. But assuming you're carrying appendix or on your side or over here, some people still do this, you need something like this, because when you draw your firearm, it has to be strong enough so that you don't take the whole holster with you. And so find a holster that is specifically marketed as find a belt that is specifically marketed as a holster belt. Don't just go to Walmart and pick something random, all right? It's not gonna work. Oh, and by the way, these holsters are awesome even if you're not carrying a gun, okay? These are great for Thanksgiving when you have a big meal, okay? Because it adjusts. I'll show you. It has a little doodad. I don't know. I'm missing the words right now. What is it called? So if you have a little bit too much to eat and you need to expand your belt, it's very easy peasy. Okay, and so here is my holster that I got. This is a Gothix holster. This one I bought from Quick Violent Over. And it's pretty much, you just put your gun in there and it sits inside the waistband. So again, assuming you have a holster belt, this goes just like that. And, your gun goes there. Obviously, I wouldn't be showing this, but that's pretty much where you can set it. But they also make sure when you buy a holster, if you're at this stage, you buy the correct one. So look for something that says inside the waistband. That's what this is. If you want it outside the waistband, it will be advertised differently for outside. And usually competitive shooters will use that. Law enforcement will use that. But because you're just a regular old civilian, you want inside the waistband. Okay. Unless you live in an open carry state, that's not my vibe. But, do you, boo-boo? But now, here's something that I will say about holsters, which I wish I knew before I decided to get my gun, even though I still love my gun. And I'm going to show you what it is in a second. But I did not know that you should research companies that make holsters prior to deciding what concealed carry gun you're actually going to use. Because finding a holster for my gun, I wanted to tear my hair out. Like, it was so bad. And then I came across this company, and so I ordered one. But it took a long time. It was like, I don't know, it was like 2 months or something like that. It was a while. And that's the reality. If you have a gun that just came out, you have to wait on other companies to come out with accessories for the gun, unless you're buying directly from the same manufacturer. But that's not always the case, So just make sure that whatever you decide to carry, they actually have things to support it. And then also, when you get a holster, you have to consider what type of attachments you want on your gun. You have to get a holster specifically molded to whatever attachments you decide to have. Otherwise, you're going to have a bunch of holsters. Okay, so don't do that. All right, now I am going to show you. Actually, let me show you my firearm. I'll talk a little bit about that. And then I'll show you what I tend to use every day for concealed carry. Because I will use this, but because I like bigger guns, it's a kind of difficult to conceal. I'm not going to lie. Which I knew that was the case, but I didn't realize it was that bad. And the reality is, and this is why I say, don't take everyone's advice in terms of like how to properly carry, because everyone has different experiences, different body types. And I find that a lot of people who are able to conceal carry better on their body tend to be men, tend to be bigger men. And I am a woman. Okay. I like to look cute sometimes. And I don't need this big ass pistol grip showing underneath my shirt. So there are other options, which I'll get to in a second. But let me show you my firearm first, okay? So if you guys remember, last year I made a video discussing how I was in the process of getting my concealed carry permit. And in that video, I showed you guys my Smith & Wesson Equalizer, which is a micro compact pistol. I have since sold that gun because honestly, I didn't enjoy shooting it as much. And so this is another part of the conversation that I think people overlook when they start shopping for a new handgun, is that if you don't enjoy shooting it, you're not going to train with it. And it's going to sit in a dresser for a year, and that defeats the purpose. So some trade-offs with the sizes of guns to consider is that if you get a smaller handgun, it's going to be easier to conceal. You're not going to have to worry about it printing as much on your body, but it's going to have a lot of recoil. It might be a little snappy, which again, some people don't mind that. But for me, it was a little too much. I was like, not crazy about this. I'm not feeling it. Now, if you get a larger handgun, it's going to be harder to conceal, but it's going to shoot a lot smoother, a lot flatter. And so that's where I ended up with. I actually have a compact firearm. It's not a full size, but it is still significantly bigger than the Equalizer gun. Okay, so here is my conceal carry gun. This is a Springfield Prodigy. It is a 3.5 inch. So it's made specifically for carry, although that doesn't stop a lot of folks. A lot of folks will carry 5-inch guns, and I'm just like, how? How do you do that? So yeah, it's a 3.5, and it's unloaded, by the way. Okay, so everything is safe. There is no magazine. Okay, everything is safe. And so there we go. Okay. And if you remember in my video that I was just talking about, that I made last year, one of the things that really drew me to the equalizer initially was because I was just starting out and I was afraid of this gun just going off. Okay, insert the P320 memes. Okay, it's so boring and old. It's like that's the only joke the gun folks have these days. Get new material. Come on. So so I was nervous about this, about guns going off if I was going to start handling them, and I liked the fact that the equalizer had a manual safety, which is right here. This is not the equalizer, but it also has a manual safety, and it has a grip safety. So unless this is off and this is properly pressed, this thing is not going to go off on its own. And so I really like that. Now, there are some people that will say, that will advise new gun owners to, if you're going to conceal carry, get a gun that doesn't have a manual safety. And their logic for that is, and it's understandable, that if you find yourself in a situation where you actually have to deploy your firearm, you might be in so much of a panic that you forget to turn off the safety. Completely understandable. I get it. But again, going back to what I said earlier, I think it's better for you to take baby steps to get to where you need to be, as opposed to forcing yourself to do something because other people are shaming you for doing it or making you feel like you don't have proper training. Sometimes it's not about the training. I've trained a lot. Okay. I spend a lot of money on classes, on various classes. Sometimes it's just the peace of mind that you're trying to overcome. It's the anxiety you're trying to overcome. So for me, I am totally fine carrying a gun with a manual safety and a grip safety, okay? That might not look the same for you, but that's your business, all right? So yes, this is my firearm, okay? And again, if I were to conceal carry, hold on, I'll show you right here. So, okay. Gotta make sure it clicks. You hear that click? Okay. I could do a whole video on holsters, but I'm not going to do that right now. I assume you know what to do with the holster, okay? You got to check the retention, make sure it doesn't fall out. So if I were to conceal carry this right now, I might actually get away with it. You know, this pattern, these types of designs are really good at distracting the human eye from this huge thing on my body. But if I were to, for example, wear something like this, oh no, honey, we're not doing that. Okay, so what I opted for, because I don't always wear sweatpants and hoodies, what I opted for is an off-body carry, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Hold on a second. All right, so this is what I've been using as of late. This is my off-body carry bag. It's made by Cakes Concealed, and I freaking love this thing. Okay, I got it for Christmas. My husband bought it for me. Shout out, babe. And it's so high quality, and it doesn't look tactical, which is one of the things I really didn't like about off-body carry bags, was the fact that I didn't want to wear anything that was screaming I had a gun on me. I wanted to be able to blend in, to look cute, to go to functions without people suspecting that I was packing heat. You know, is that too much to ask for? So yeah, and I will show you how it works. But before I do, I want to show you what comes inside the bag. So the first thing that they include is this little cutout of a gun. I'm pretty sure this is a Glock. And it just includes some information on how to set up their holster and what type of holster you should get. And the other thing that they include is this card that details the 4 rules of firearm safety. And I love this because if you didn't know, this is like square one. If you're thinking about going to the range for the first time, they're going to teach you this. And so going back to what I've talked about in the past about how a lot of these anti-gun people, they assume because they don't see something, it doesn't exist. This is what I'm talking about. They think that gun owners don't know anything about safety and therefore we need more gun control laws. The 2A community is one of the most supportive communities because they want new gun owners to succeed. How do you protect the Second Amendment? You got to change hearts and minds. And the only way that you can do that is being a good support system for those who are just getting into it. And so I really like how they included that, and then also some instructions on how to use the bag so you're not left high and dry trying to figure it out, because getting your first firearm can be a little intimidating. And if you're a woman, it can be even more intimidating because let's be real, the perception about gun ownership in this country is heavily perceived as it being something specifically for old white men. I know that's not the case, but that's what a lot of people think. But the numbers show differently. Gun ownership in this country is going up, and a lot of those are women. Okay, and obviously I'm one of them. So let me show you how the bag works. Okay, so here's the bag. As you can see, it's a crossbody. Personally, I've never been a purse girl per se, and I don't necessarily recommend them for concealed carry, only because I know some women have a tendency to leave their purses in their shopping cart on the counter while they're paying at the store, and that kind of defeats the purpose because someone can just steal your purse and now they have your gun. So I recommend something like a crossbody for more security. And then I also, I don't know if you can see this, I have this extra chain right here. This doesn't come with it. This was just extra, but you can get different colors, different, just doll it up if you want, because that's their big thing, Cakes Conceal. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. They don't even know I exist. I just really like this product. I mean, if you want to send me another bag, I'll take it. But their whole thing is not compromising on style. Be safe, but you don't have to wear an ugly tactical bag, all right? Because listen, the tactical baddies, that's totally fine. Not everyone's about that vibe, all right? Let me show you how it works. You have this little emergency strap right here, and you just pull. Oh, what was that? That was my lip gloss. I'm gonna leave that in the video. That's great. Yeah, so before I get to that, you have other compartments on this bag. So you have a front compartment right here. You have a front compartment for your money, and you can put your phone back here if you want. That's usually what I do. And you can put your lip gloss on the inside. There, you have little pockets that you can put magazines, extra mags if you want to carry that around. But now that that's out of the way, pretty much how this works is you just pull, and then with your other hand, you draw, and then you shoot. And it's pretty much, that's how I roll. Now, whatever method you decide to use, I cannot emphasize this enough, practice with it. Don't just assume you're gonna know how to do it. No, practice with it. Make sure you can actually properly clear your firearm safely and effectively. And if you can't, you might have to reconsider your setup, okay? Let me see. Anything else that I wanted to add about that? No, I think that was pretty much it. So yeah, practice, practice, practice. Now, on that note, how often do I train and what does it actually look like? Okay, so I was going to the range like once a week, but because I have decided to run for state senate in Rhode Island, I'm not going as often. Now, what you can do if you are busy is you can do something called dry firing, which is pretty much you just practicing the fundamentals at your home with your firearm completely unloaded, and pretty much just you drawing and getting on target so that when you finally do go back to the range, you're not starting from square one. And that's totally free. They have some programs that you can use, like I have the Mantis dry fire system, but you can literally take a sticky note and put it on the wall and just point your gun at the wall. But again, practicing the fundamentals, making sure you're not actually pointing at grandma when you're dry firing. Again, ammo nowhere in the room. I cannot emphasize that enough. Make sure you check your gun. Make sure it is unloaded if you intend on dry firing. But aside from that, I think it's important for people to invest in classes that are specific for concealed carrying. I think it's great to go to an indoor range and practice shooting at a paper target, but let's be real, that target isn't charging at you. It's not threatening your life. So you're only getting, you're not getting the full picture of what could possibly happen out in the real world. So make sure you just invest some time and money into several classes. And there's so many different types of them. You can go as far as, the basics, holster drawing, to some tactical combat, John Wick-ish type of stuff, okay? So the sky's the limit. But there is no excuse to you not having any money, because if you bought a gun, I assume you have money. Figure out what you can cut out from your budget for a month or two to save up for those classes. This is your life we're talking about, okay? I think you can afford it. All right, next question, and this is a big one. If I ever had to use my firearm in self-defense, do you think that I would actually be legally protected? Like, honest question. We live in America. We live in the United States of America. We have the Constitution. We have the Second Amendment, and you would be wrong. You know why? Because there's lots of people in this country that don't like the Second Amendment. And a lot of them are in positions of power and authority. And they would love nothing more than to see you, the law-abiding citizen, rot in jail. So if you intend on not even just carrying a gun, owning a gun, you going to the range, but maybe you don't want to carry it every day, even that, you should have some form of protection. Even if it was an accident or you were justified in using your firearm against someone you legitimately thought was about to murder you, we have to remember that criminals have families, and criminals have families that love them. And so they're going to come after you because you're not their family. So you need some form of protection in the event you were to get in trouble. And so this is a great segue to introduce you guys to a company that I recently joined. I recently signed up with, and it is called Attorneys on Retainer. And so I'm an affiliate with them, full disclosure, but I do want to share why I like this company really quickly, because I think it's something that gun owners can benefit from. So this isn't an insurance program. I know there are other programs out there. I'm not going to name them, but there's lots of other programs out there, but they operate more as an insurance company. Attorneys on Retainer, on the other hand, is in a league of their own because they're backed by the Attorneys for Freedom law firm. These are actual attorneys, so that means they don't have the same restrictions as insurance companies and are able to provide representation in all 50 states. AOR already has some high-profile wins under their belt. They cover everything from felonies, misdemeanors, appeals, bail bonds, red flag hits, or even if you had to use your gun in a so-called gun-free zone. And what I really love about AOR is, unlike other programs, you get 4 attorneys ready to defend you in court. I mean, think about it. When do you ever see someone have 4 lawyers unless you're a celebrity? I certainly can't afford it. So yeah, check out Attorneys on Retainer. If you decide to sign on with them, you can use my code Gothix to get $25 off your individual plan. My husband and I are both signed up, and we think it's great. It's one of those things that you would rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So get signed up today. Link is in the description. Use code Gothix. Get a discount off of your sign up. Okay, but yeah, you need some proper protection. Okay, that's the reality. Is everyone wants to put you in jail for trying to defend your own life. Now, aside from that, I think it's important for you to be informed on your laws. Not only the laws of where you live locally, but the laws of where you intend to travel to. Because Unfortunately, the Second Amendment, for some strange reason, is that part of the Constitution that is not applicable depending on where you are in the United States. It's like you can have the free speech, right? You can have that in California, you can have that in Florida, you can have that in Alabama, in Rhode Island, free speech for everyone. But the Second Amendment, no, that's a privilege that only some peasants can get. Ugh. So make sure you know your laws. Check the reciprocity maps online to see, and reciprocity pretty much means if you have a permit to carry in one state, it might be applicable in a different state. I live in Rhode Island. Rhode Island's permit law does not, it's not valid anywhere else because they hate freedom. Communist. Freaking communist. So make sure you know what your laws are, because you can literally travel across the board. Like I live on the border of Massachusetts, and because I'm so close, I had to travel to Boston to get a concealed carry permit for Massachusetts as well as Rhode Island. That's more money. That's more money, but you got to do it to just cover your ass. So make sure you know all of your laws. And now, here's the last thing that I will say. If there is one thing about concealed carry that I would tell someone if they're just starting out, is for them to understand that this is more than just an accessory. This is a complete lifestyle change. Like, you have to be willing to not only put in the work, but invest your time and your money, and you have to be responsible. Okay. Let me give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, there was a shooting that took place at an Austin, Texas bar, I believe. And this guy just opened fire on a bunch of people. And so when it comes to this being a lifestyle change, you might have to come to terms that perhaps the way that you even socialize might look different from everyone else. You know, like if you're going to carry a gun and you're going to go to the bar, are you confident that if something were to happen, you'd be able to get on target without having some type of collateral damage? Yeah, that's highly unlikely. So you may need to really have these hard conversations with yourself because the way that you live is going to be a lot different than how you used to live, because now you have this thing on you. And it's just different. It's just different. Aside from that, I think another thing that changes when you become a gun owner is that there's no room for hot-headedness. Okay. I have this on me, but that doesn't mean I'm anticipating the possibility of me using it every day. No, I would love to avoid that completely. It's on me just in case, but I would rather not have to use it. So maybe there's a different route you can take. Maybe there's something you can do to de-escalate a confrontation. I think the goal is to not be in the gunfight to begin with. And so what I would say to new concealed carry folks is that you should leave your ego at the door. Okay? Because I think that's worse. That's more of a liability. You having a firearm and you being hot-headed, wanting to get into fights with everyone and have the last word, that's more of a liability than you having no gun to begin with. Okay? So leave your ego at home. That's what I would say. And also, there was one more thing that I forgot to mention. We're almost done with the video, but there was one more thing that I forgot to mention in this video. Ammo. We got to talk about ammo. Okay. I saw a video recently of this young lady. She was showing her boyfriend her pistol, and she had the ammo in backwards. And not only did she have it backwards, she was using training ammo. Okay. So again, this is assuming you've already gone through all of the steps, had the basic training, and you understand the different types of ammo. But just in case, because we're all about safety here, I want to talk really quickly about ammo. Okay, so this is a huge thing, all right? Do not get this mixed up. This is training ammo. I don't know if you can see this. Maybe I have to... You see this? This is training ammo. And this is self-defense ammo. Different color, different style tip, okay? When you're ready to start concealed carrying, you have to make sure you're buying ammunition that's labeled either self-defense or duty ammo, all right? If you buy something that says training ammo, that's not what you want. And I'll explain why in a second, but here are what some of the boxes look like. This is what I'm currently running. It's okay. It's 134 grain, I believe. 135. My apologies. It's 135 grain. And I just picked this up. Have not used it yet, but this is 124 grain. Okay. Training ammo is very cheap. It's cost effective because you're training. You're going to shoot a lot of rounds. Self-defense ammo is very expensive. All right. But that doesn't mean you don't test it out. All right. You have to test it out. Don't just buy a new brand of self-defense ammo and never run it in your gun because, again, some types of ammunition, some brands work best with certain types of guns. So make sure you actually try it out to know if it's going to run and to know if you can trust your life with it. I think that's really important. Now, why is it labeled self-defense ammo or duty ammo? It's because of the tips that I showed you. I'm holding both these boxes. It's rather uncomfortable. Hold on a second. Okay, so this is why they're called self-defense rounds. So again, this is the self-defense round. It has a little different tip on here. And assuming you were to use this in self-defense, the tip of it expands and it's meant to slow the round down. So that way, if you think about it, it's minimizing the possibility of having collateral damage. So you're aiming at that bad guy and it's going to slow down. Now, if you were to use training ammo in your in your concealed carry, this is not only going to go through the bad guy, it's going to go through the other person behind them and then the other person and then the other person and through the wall. And if I could be mistaken, but I heard, New Jersey, friends, New Jersey, that self-defense rounds are illegal or something like that. These are called hollow points, by the way. That's the actual term, hollow point rounds, aka self-defense rounds. But I was told that it's illegal. Let me know in the comment section if this is true, because that is retarded. I have no other words for that. So you want collateral damage, evidently. Yeah, so make sure you get the right ammo and make sure you test out the grain. Make sure you're comfortable with it. And let me see, was there anything else that I wanted to add to this? I think I covered everything. There's nothing else I wanted to add. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you got some value out of this. If you did, please let me know in the comment section. If you're thinking about getting your first gun, if you're thinking about getting a concealed carry and you have questions, please let me know. I'm all for it. I live for this type of content. But yeah, otherwise, please hit the like and subscribe button. As you know, the media overlords do not like freedom content. Or they're just racist. Can I say that? Maybe they're just YouTube is racist. So if you want to pay me reparations, you can hit that like and subscribe button and leave a comment for the algorithm. But that is all for today. My name is Vanessa, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.